Okay, we should be ready to go in 2 minutes. If anybody is watching this on Godfather Vegas, I'd like you to look up that video I put up there about Sweden from 2015. That'd be important for you to see. And there's also some good entertainment with Don Rickles roasting Frank Sinatra at one of the Dean Martin roasts. So it's a little entertainment without all of the horrible stuff that's going on today. And it's funny, if you look, I have a lot of Dean Martin roasts, and if you look at those roasts, they wouldn't be acceptable today because there would be a lot of stuff we considered racism. But it just shows in 2 decades how far we have slipped down into disaster. So we should be starting in about another minute, so just hang in there. And you could actually listen to the music that's going on. I have you set up where you could hear that, so you don't have to be bored looking at my face.
Last song.
Okay.
The shorter one.
So the last song we got going right now is Gary Lewis and the Playboys, Palisades Park. You know, I could hear the first couple of notes of a song and know what it is.
Really?
Yeah.
Name that tune?
Yeah, right?
I never got that show.
Tom Kennedy. He used to be the host of that show. He's probably gone. He's probably gone too. I wore this shirt today because I wanted to go to Hawaii, but I don't have the time.
You asked me watching like Discovery Channel stuff. So I can afford to go on vacation, but I can go on TV on vacation. So.
Yeah.
Now some of the songs Harvey has on here, I just shake my head. Not this one, but.
Palisade Park was in New Jersey.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's the song is about Palisade Park. It was an amusement park in New Jersey.
Right across the Hudson River.
Exactly
I
right.
could see it from the
The reason why they call it Palisade Park, because where the Hudson River is, they had the Palisades because it was a sheer wall of rock, and that town was above that wall.
Wow.
Yeah, it was about 500-600 feet above the water level of the Hudson River.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was trippy.
I got this on record.
KPFFLP, Bronx, Nevada. Statements and opinions made on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its affiliates. Fighting corruption with Anthony Greco. Fighting government corruption, the real gangsters.
Stand by.
Greetings from corrupt Nye County. I am Anthony Greco, and this is my show, Fighting Government Corruption. Support for KPFF is brought to you in part by Pure Communications, an internet service provider for Pahrump and the surrounding area. Pure Communications, 702-628-5662. Okay, we're going to jump right in here, and I was watching the news the other day. Actually, it was the 20th of the month, a couple of days ago, 4 days ago. And a person, an Iraqi, who was an interpreter for the Navy SEALs, became a U.S. citizen on March 20th of this year, just a couple of days ago. And they were interviewing him on Fox News, excuse me. And he said something that was very interesting. And I guess he did, I'm saying in my words, that he paid his dues to this country to become a citizen by helping the Navy SEALs and with language that they didn't understand. And they asked him a question about what did he think about Donald Trump, and he thought he was a very good president. And he asked, what do you think about the wall? And the funny thing was, he said, you need to build the wall because if you don't, you're going to need ARs and AK-47s to protect yourself because bad things are coming. So here's a guy who's just coming into the country, and he knows a lot about the United States between hanging out with the Navy SEALs and the job that they do to protect everybody. And he learned a lot about our country. You know, you have to know certain questions to become a citizen. There's a test and everything. And he's pledging his allegiance to the United States of America, which he did before, just by helping the Navy SEALs. So congratulations to him. They actually, his name, his U.S. name is Johnny Walker. So I don't know if he drinks it, but that's his U.S. name. So I want to talk a little bit about, you know, for the last couple of weeks and a couple of shows, people have been talking about Valley Electric here in Pahrump. And things just hit me because I watch the news a lot and pay attention to what's going on. And the FBI took over a year to investigate Michael Cohen. Now, I want to know, how much of an investigation did Nye County Sheriff's Department do before they broke into, with a warrant, I guess, into Valley Electric? And how much of an investigation did they do on the CEO, Angela Evans, before they arrested her? Did they do an investigation, or are they just up to the same old tricks as arresting someone and then figure out what they're going to charge them with? Because that happens a lot here. A lot of people are shocked when they hear that, but that's the way it goes here. I was in courtroom maybe 2 weeks ago, and they had a guy in there in Department A, and he was in for 10 days, and the prosecutors didn't have charges on him yet. Now, a person is in there for 10 days and no charges yet. And actually, Justice Lisa turned around and said to the prosecutors, I think it was Michael Vita Cabell, if you don't have charges in front of me within 72 hours, I'm cutting the guy loose. Well, he should have been cut loose already. And then when they had charges, they should have called him on the phone and turned around and told him to come back in so he could hear his charges. But that's ridiculous. And I truthfully believe that Angela's not a stupid person. She's well educated, and I think she has the courage to stand up to the Nye County Sheriff's Department. And I think we're going to end up getting sued over this, because no charges, but they're destroying this woman's career and her credibility with the community. And to just turn around and have the newspaper say that she's extorted, or not extorted, but $75,000 was involved, and I don't think it was $75,000. The way I see it, it looks like $7,500. Now, I talked to my friend in New York who has 40 years law enforcement, and if you're working for a company, especially when you're in charge of that company, and you have work done, you have up to a year to make a payment plan on the work that you had done. Well, she hasn't been in charge of that company for more than 5 months before they went and arrested her. So, do they even know what's going on, or they just decided to arrest somebody? And we've been known to do that here. People get arrested and no charges. And then they wait 2 or 3 years and they make up a whole bunch of charges, and then they say, well, if you plead guilty to this misdemeanor, we'll just drop it. Well, the reason why they want you to plead guilty to a smaller charge is because they really don't have any charge against you, but they could get sued for doing that. So they sweat you out, they try to run you out of money, and then they turn around and have you plead guilty to something that you never even did. So hopefully Pool Pack will take a little bath on that deal too. I was told that somebody who was arrested here and was held for a period of time on a warrant, that it wasn't him. They had the wrong guy. And I called Vinny in New York, and I turned around and told him, if people don't know, my friend Vinny was last 19 years of his 40-year law enforcement career in New York was in the investigative general's office. And when you arrest somebody on a warrant and it's not from your department that you're arresting them in, the warrant says, the warrant is that you should check out what the warrant's all about before you could take the person in custody without arresting them just to do proper. But a warrant from another place, you're supposed to check everything out about the warrant, find out what the warrant's for. Now, you know, it could be warrants because of unpaid tickets, or it could be a warrant for a murder. You know, so you have to know what you're dealing with, so you know how to handle it the proper way. We're going to change gears a little bit. Bernie Sanders was in he was actually in Henderson, Nevada, the other day, and he was saying that there's children starving to death in this country, and it shouldn't be. And you know, I look at Pahrump, and they do these food drives for kids, you know, because they don't have any food at home. And if you're indigent, you get food stamps. But the problem why kids in Pahrump and Nye County are hungry is not because they don't have access to food. Well, actually they do have access to food because of their parents have food stamps, but it seems a lot of times the parents sell their food stamps for drugs. And I know this to be a fact because when I was in High Desert, guys would tell me that, who were drug dealers, they would tell me that they would get $300-400 worth of food stamps for $50 worth of drugs. Now, these are parents, okay? They're getting that kind of food stamps because they have children that are dependents of theirs. So the only reason why a kid in Pahrump would be starving is because their parents are using their food allotment for dope. And that's why we have to have food drives and people have to come up with money. Now, the cops here like to lock people up, and sometimes people need to be locked up. Well, if you're a parent and you're using your food allotment for drugs and making your kids beg for food or eat in school, well, you should be arrested. But you shouldn't be arrested just for nothing. There should be an investigation and then charges brought, and either you surrender yourself or you get arrested. They put a bench warrant out for you and arrest you. And those are the people that should be getting arrested, not people that can't afford to pay for a traffic ticket. People who are abusing their children, not by beatings, but mentally abusing. If you're starving your child, not only are you violating their health, but you're mentally abusing them. And a young child who doesn't have the proper nutrition, brain is not going to function properly. So there's the kind of arrest I would like to see. People who are not doing their job taking care of their kids because of drugs. Okay? And that's a problem that I have. You know, I'm a constitutionalist, so if you want to do drugs, that's all well and good, but you still have obligations to your children. You have obligations to your landlord or the person that has your mortgage. And then if you want to do some recreational drugs, all well and good, as long as you're not stealing to turn around and buy those drugs. And we have drugs that are legitimate, so you wouldn't even be breaking the law doing it if you went and bought marijuana legitimately and stuff. So the sheriff needs to do their job in the areas that they need to do their job. I haven't heard of anybody being arrested for selling their food stamps to a drug dealer so they can get drugs and not feeding their children. So maybe this is something that they should look into. So Bernie Sanders, you know, he needs to turn around and really know what he's talking about. Why are children starving in this country? And where is the money going to that's allotted for the food? And we're going to stay in Henderson. Bernie was in Henderson. And Bernie said, I watched that whole video, it was an hour and 4 minutes long. It's an hour, that's 64 minutes I'm never going to get back. But they had all these people talking about Bernie and this and that. And yeah, I'm not saying who to vote for. It's not him, but... And Bernie said the biggest threat to the United States of America, you ready for this? The biggest threat to the United States of America is climate change, global warming. Well, that might be a threat in 10,000 years, but if you want to turn around and make rules and regulations for climate change, that's all well and good, but let's wake up. Do you think your rules and regulations that you make here that we're going to be taxed to death on, China's going to pay attention to? India's going to pay attention to? All these countries that are starting to become industrialized, and you think that they care about global warming? I remember during the Olympics in China, they had to shut down the industry because you couldn't even see down the street from the pollution. Do you really think that they're going... Only the Americans have to be abused with this climate change when you're not changing your climate over the United States. Remember, we have airflows and the earth is spinning around, and we have wind currents and water currents and all of that. Do you think that all the garbage we're picking up in the ocean is coming from the United States? It's coming from all these other countries that use the ocean off their shores as a place to dump their trash. Do you think that these countries are really going to correct that? Why should we have to do it? Whatever we're doing is not going to combat the damage that China is doing. Look at all the millions and millions of people there. I mean, we have 350 million people here. We throw more stuff out into our landfill than most countries consume. We throw away more good items that countries don't even have, that they would be glad to have it. We just throw it away like it's nothing. So if we learn to recycle, not because I'm a greenie and I believe in global warming, but why don't you, instead of throwing it in the garbage, why don't you give it to somebody that needs it? There's plenty of people in this country that have very little. If you clean it up and give it to them, you're not a tree hugger, but why not what you throw away that's not trash, why can't you give it to somebody that could use it? Why don't you just put it out in front of your house and write free on it? So you're not putting it in a landfill that everybody's screaming that we throw out stuff, but somebody might be able to use it. I mean, I have a whole bunch of pallets at my house, and the broken ones I pile out up on the corner of my property in the wintertime and write free on it because it's perfect firewood. You got people heating with wood-burning stoves and fireplaces, and they could barbecue with that. They cut it up and they turn around, and instead of buying charcoal, they could burn that wood for heat. I had friends that I would give all the stuff to, and they heated their houses for the winter for free, just to come and get it. So instead of being selfish, maybe you can afford to have nice things, which I'm glad you can, but how about the stuff that you're replacing the new stuff with the old, and turn around and do that? And it's not just over recycling, it's about giving people who don't have, you know, and nobody's forcing you to do that. See, I don't like the idea of the government telling me I have to do this, I have to do that. But just out of thought of somebody else, just give it to them. So, that whole thing with the climate change is really a farce. It's just control. Okay, it's a way of getting away from the fuels that they don't want you to burn. But go over and tell China to do that. And they'll give you the first... They'll be putting you in a cargo hold on the first plane out of there. Okay, now, like I tell you all the time, I watch the news, and I just don't watch Fox. I watch ABC local news because I want to know what's going on in the community. Which, one of the things I found out is the top cop, Henderson top cop, she was put on administrative leave. And I know somebody, I went to visit yesterday in Vegas, and his daughter just retired from there early because they said that the top cop in Vegas is a racist and a bigot. Okay? So, can an African American be a racist and a bigot? Yes, they can. Anybody could be a racist and a bigot. But one of the things she promoted 3 lieutenants to captain when they didn't have the training or the years to get that promotion. And why did she do that? Is that she believes that she should promote the people of the same race as her. So it's like what they do here. Most of the deputies here get these promotions because they happen to belong to the same church. Is it going on in Henderson because they're the same religious or ethnic background? This is not how things are supposed to work. And that's why you have all these people when they go to school and they get these trophies because they participated. They're afraid to make people say, well, you lost and you're not going to get a trophy. And that's what the problem with everything is. This political correctness is becoming a nightmare. It's actually destroying the United States of America that we know. And if anybody is watching this on Godfather Vegas Facebook, I want you to look at a post that I did. It's not a video I made. It's something that we got from YouTube. And it's a post on what was going on in Sweden in 2015. And if you look at that video, you're going to scratch your head and say, that's what's happened in the United States today. And Sweden is destroying themselves because no matter what you say, it's racist. They don't want you to have an opinion. Right now, we're lucky in this country, well, not the whole country, but at least here in this studio, when I first came here, Harvey used to tell us, this is a place where the First Amendment still lives. And even though he's not here, it is a place where the First Amendment lives. And that's the reason why I'm here. So we really need to look at what direction we're going and why are we going in a direction. Who's controlling that? So, another part of the news I was watching MSNBC. And Rachel Maddow was actually crying the other day because Trump isn't going to get indicted for anything. Now, as news media, don't you think the news media would be happy that the leader of the United States of America is not doing anything to hurt the United States of America? Or they still think he is? Well, reports came out today that the Attorney General, Barr, says that there is going to be no indictment.